Hello and welcome to Math 1314 online. So what I have right here is my D2L page. And so I have all the different courses I'm teaching this fall. And so if you're in my class, I'm Professor Algio. And our class right here is 1314, section 1513. And so this is where you'll enter here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And the first thing you'll see is kind of announcements. And so right here, this is kind of just welcoming you to my class. And I'll post a link to this video in a second here. And so once you get here, we're going to go ahead and go to content. There is this tab right here for course materials. You won't need that for my class. You might need that for some of your other classes, but for my class, we're just going to go ahead and head over to content. And here in the table of contents, I have my syllabus, my calendar, how we're going to access the homework, the orientation quiz, exams, and how to submit your work for the exams. And so let's go ahead and just start from the top. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the syllabus. So if you click this, I'm going to go ahead and open it right here. Okay. And let me see, I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see this a little better. So here we are. As I told you, I'm Professor Algio, and so this is where I'm located at the North Harris campus, and this is the phone number that can be reached at. The best way to contact me, though, is can be through this email address right here. And then I also have my WebEx in case you ever want to meet up for online tutoring. And then these are my in-person office hours right here. These are not the only hours I'm available, but I just want to list a couple, but you can also make a request for a different time, and that's fine. All right, so here we are, college algebra. Let's see the syllabus and other important documents. Those are in D2L, and like I said, we'll go through that list. So for textbooks, as I was saying, you don't actually need the materials tab because we are going to use a free open source. We're going to use an OpenStax textbook, and we're going to pair it up with the free platform called MyOpenMath. And so that's how we're going to do our homework and also take our exams. So the following course ID and enrollment key is right here. So you'll want to go ahead and use this link, or you can type it in myopenmath.com. Go start to set up an account, and when you set it up, it will ask you for a course ID and then also an enrollment key. You'll use that, and it'll get you set up real quick. It's a pretty simple process. And I will go over some of those features also in MyOpenMath. We'll take a look at that in a moment. So for calculators, really, you don't need much more than a scientific calculator, but graphing calculators can sometimes be nice. They're a little bit more user-friendly. And so if you have one, great. If you don't, I wouldn't go out and spend a lot of money on one. But a scientific calculator, you could typically, that's going to be about $10 or so. Also, for your homework, you could use the calculator on your phone if you want, but obviously during exams, you can't have your phone out. So there should be a calculator that's going to be embedded in the software. So you will have something available for you, even if you don't go out and purchase one. Okay, so most of us are taking this course to fulfill our minimum math requirements. And so some of us may be going on to trigonometry after this and pre-cal and so on. And others of us, this might be your last math course. So here are the major outcomes. I'm not going to read through them all, but you can if you'd like. And then next, let's see, the general course outline. I have a calendar that's posted in D2L. So going back to that, the calendar is right below there. Let me open that file real quick. So here we are. All right, so you'll officially have access to the course on August 25th. And so the way I kind of lay out the calendar, it's not like you have to do everything each of these days. You just need to do all these activities within the week. So for the most part, all assignments for the week will be due that Sunday at midnight, okay? There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, they're going to be due on Sunday. So you'll want to read through the syllabus. That's kind of what we're doing right now. Watch the video, and then the orientation quiz, and I'll go over that in a moment. And so it's really important to get that orientation quiz done because we have to do it by September 2nd or you will be dropped from the course. Okay, it's that important that we get that done. The orientation quiz, it's good because it goes over the expectations, but it also prepares you for the first exam to know the expectations for testing, and that's super important. So that's why I have that deadline on there. And like I said, I'll go over it with you. The orientation quiz is not supposed to be challenging. It's more of going through the procedures of how testing is going to work in this class. So then we also have a factoring review and then a quadratic equations by factoring, solved by factoring. And so those first two assignments will be due by that Sunday. I guess that would fall on August 31st, the day before Labor Day. So you want to make sure you get those done. And then the next week we have these assignments. And like I said, get that quiz done. If I were you, get it done just right away. But then the next week you can see those assignments. They'll be due on that following Sunday, which it looks like that will be September 7th. And those dates will also be posted in the My Open Math platform, which we'll look at in a little bit. So as we scroll down, we get to our first exam right here. So this week of September, you've got 2 assignments, plus we have the review. And then the exam will open on the day of the review, which is the 17th, and the exam will close on the 22nd. So that's the window you have to take the exam. So you can take it right away on the 17th, or if you've got things going on and it takes you a little bit later to get to it, the 22nd will be your last opportunity. My recommendation is don't wait till the last day. I know we've got busy lives going on, but definitely, try to maybe take it a day or 2 before the deadline, just in case something comes up. And so you can see that for this week, the assignments are not going to be due until Monday because that's when the exam is due. So for the most part, there'll be Sundays, but every once in a while I might have a week where it's due on a Monday. So you can see that right there. And so I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can kind of see it's a similar pattern as you go through this. So we have exam 3 right here, and then after that we have our last unit, okay? And then we'll have our final exam during finals week. Your window of opportunity will be Monday through Thursday right here. And the final exam is cumulative, but about 2/3 of it will be the new material. So the 4.1, chapter 4, and then this 6.1 right here. So most of it will be the new material, but there will be a couple other things sprinkled in there. There will be a review available. So as long as you kind of master the review, you should be in pretty good shape on all your exams. I make a review, and then from there I make the exams, and so they're built from the reviews. So if you know how to do the review, you'll know how to do the exam. Okay, so let's go back to the syllabus. So that was our course outline right there. And by the way, when you are taking the orientation quiz, you'll want to have the syllabus and the calendar in front of you because that's what the questions will be based off of. Questions about the syllabus and also questions about the calendar here. All right, so continuing on, okay. When you email me, just be sure to give me all your information, your first and last name, what class you're in. Please tell me what class, because I'm teaching 4 different classes, so I want to make sure I know what class you're in. It'll make it a lot easier on me. If you're having questions about the homework, please include a picture or a screenshot of your work. That will help me in assisting you. All right, evaluation. How are you going to be evaluated? So the grading system is A, B, C, D, and F. So really you need to shoot for a C or better because Ds don't typically transfer. Now, if you're trying to graduate from Lone Star with an associate's, a D will be okay. But once again, if you're going to transfer to a university at some point, typically if you have a D, they're going to make you retake the course. So homework will account for 20% of your grade. And so I will go over the My Open Math platform. A lot of times I'll use the abbreviation MOM, M-O-M. And so You will have 4 late passes, so if you do miss some of your due dates, you can actually use these late passes to be able to still complete those assignments. Just let's see, the reviews will also be part of your homework grade, so just be aware of that. Regular exams are going to be 60%. We're going to have 3 of them. This will be kind of interesting the way you're going to take your exams. So you will complete them in the My Open Math software, but you have to access it through D2L. And once again, I'll kind of show you a little bit of that in a moment. But the reason why it's set up that way is so that we can use the Respondus monitor and lockdown browser tools. And so what that does is when you're taking the test, it makes it to where you can't go to any other browsers. And then also it allows us to use a webcam so that we can make sure everything's on the up and up. And so, by the way, there are no exceptions to this. So the only way you can get around this is if you want to come in person and take it in the testing center. And I'm fine with that if you want to do that. But other than that, if you're going to take it online, you have to follow these procedures. So during the exams, you'll have 2 hours and 30 minutes. Typically, they shouldn't take you that long. I just kind of give you extra time just in case you need it. Most exams will probably take you an hour and a half. Students are permitted to use one standard sheet of paper with notes and examples. Okay, so kind of like a little cheat sheet. Okay. Also, you can use scientific or graphing calculator. That's fine. But other than that, you must refrain from any other resources. And if you are caught cheating, you will receive a 0 and you may be dropped from the course or receive an F. So just make sure you're doing your work. So as far as makeup exams, I do not allow any makeups. You've got that window of time. You've got plenty of time to take it. However, I will replace your lowest regular exam grade with how you perform on the final exam if it's higher. So, for example, let's just say that one of your exams you made a 50. Let's just say that. And then on the final exam, you make an 87. Well, that 50 will get replaced with the 87. Okay, so or let's just say you missed an exam. That 0 would get replaced with the 87. So that's kind of how I like to do that. Okay, grading and earning partial credit on exams. So to earn partial credit, you have to submit your handwritten work within 1 hour of completing the exam. Partial credit means getting some points back on problems that you missed on the exam. If your exam marks questions wrong, then I'll go back and I'll look at your work and see if it's possible to give you some partial credit. So just be aware that getting points back is not guaranteed. And so the way you would submit your work is on the D2L page, you're going to go to content and look for work submission, and then just be sure to follow those directions. So let me go ahead and navigate over there real quick and show you. So right here, you can see work submissions. And so I have 4 different things here. You might not be able to see them all right now because I think they're only visible when they're available. And so they're going to be available during the windows of those exams. So work submission for exam 1, and then I have exam 2, and so on as you go down. And so the main thing is when you submit your work, I want it to be orderly. Make sure you put it in numerical order, make sure it's nice and clean. When you scan your document, make it one document. Don't send me a bunch of attachments. That's gonna just makes it too confusing. So I just want one file whenever you attach it. So I'm not going to read through all this, but look over this if you want to take advantage of that. And I suggest you do. Most students that do submit their work do receive points back. Sometimes it's, 2 or 3 points, but sometimes it's like 10 or 15 points. It just kind of depends on the situation. So, all right, let's see, back to the syllabus. All right, so then the final exam basically is going to operate the same way as all the other exams. The only difference is you get 3 hours. Once again, you probably won't need 3 hours, but I give you that much time. All right, exam expectations. This is probably the most important part because I want to make sure we get this right. So if you're taking this online, we have to proctor it, and we have to follow these rules. And so here are some examples of what's expected. Ideally, it would be great to have a USB webcam. You're just going to have more flexibility than using the camera from a laptop. Those are the ones that kind of give me the most problems, and then in turn give the students the most problems. So a USB webcam, you can buy it on Amazon or Walmart for about 10 bucks. They're not super expensive. And so these are some ideal placements right here. Okay, so you can see, I can see the work area, I can see your hands, I can see you. Okay, very important. All right. Then here's the ones with using the cameras from a laptop. These are acceptable because I can see the workspace, I can see the hands, I can see your face. It's just harder to set up, and sometimes students will do it to where I can't see their workspace or I can't see their faces, and that's where we have issues, and that's where you may earn a 0 for an exam. Okay, so like I said, it's probably ideal just to get yourself a webcam for 10 bucks and avoid any of those issues. All right. And then here were some unacceptable. So like I said, here I can't see the workspace. That's a problem. Make sure you're not kind of covering yourself up at all. All right. Some other things to think about. Make sure that you have a good connection when you're doing this. Okay, make sure you're somewhere quiet. Let's see. You cannot take it on an iPad. It has to be PC or Mac, so be aware of that. I believe Chromebooks do work. So if you have a Chromebook, that should work. So the Respondus Lockdown browser, what's gonna happen is when you take the orientation quiz, you're gonna be prompted to download the software required for the Lockdown browser and for Respondus Monitor. And so you'll have to download those. And you might think, oh, I have it from a different class. Well, it's unique to D2L. There's other platforms like Alex or MyMathLab. So you have to make sure you have the right one for D2L. You need to make sure that's the software drivers you have. So just a reminder, what's allowed: a calculator, something to write with, blank paper, no spiral, or folders. Okay, so make sure you just have some loose leaf paper. I would say 5 or 6 pieces just to be safe. That should be plenty. You can have your 1-page cheat sheet. Okay, other things just to kind of remember: find a location with a flat surface. So don't take it while sitting or laying in bed or anything like that. You want to be at a nice table. Find a quiet place. No other people should be in the room. Do not wear headphones, earpods, or headphones, earphones. Do not wear a hat, hoodie, sunglasses. Please be in a well-lit room. Okay, a lot of times students will take it and it's really dark, and then their screen is distorting the view, the light of the screen. So try to be in a well-lit room, but do not have a bright light directly behind you. That also can screw up the video. Okay, so try to keep those things in mind. Okay, academic integrity. Basically, just this, you need to do your work. Make sure it's your work. If there's any concerns about that, like I said, you could be awarded a 0 or dropped from the class if you are caught cheating. And then also, if there's even a suspicion, then I may require you to take the remaining exams at the testing center here on campus. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's see. So reasons you may be dropped. Well, if you don't take the orientation quiz by September 2nd, if you score 0 on 2 or more exams at that point, mathematically, it would be really difficult not to pass the course. Also, if you're not following the exam protocol, that could be another reason that you could be dropped. Another important thing is participation. So you need to be at least doing something each week. Okay, so if you just kind of disappear on me, then you may be dropped for that also. And then also we want to make sure you have access to the platform within that first week. So official day of roll. As long as you complete the quiz, you'll meet those requirements. That's basically something we have to report to the college. If a student doesn't complete an assignment within the first week, then they are automatically considered a no-show and will be dropped. And so that's kind of that quiz, orientation quiz grade right there. The last day to drop will be November 10th, which is on a Monday. The rest of the stuff is fairly common in all the syllabi you'll see for Lone Star. One that I'll highlight is the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. So if you have any accommodations, just make sure you share that with me. Down here, we do have a tutoring center on campus here at North Harris. We are located in the Winship building on the first floor. It's going to be room 110. And so we have computers in there. We have tutors there ready to help. And so it's going to be open Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 to 7, on Wednesdays, Thursdays from 9 to 6. And then even on Fridays, they're going to have hours from 9 to 3. It's a great resource to take advantage of. Here is their website. They also offer online tutoring, so you could look into that also. And then here's just some department information for our dean and for the chair. Okay, let's go back to the D2L. All right, so I showed you the work submissions right here. So on your end, let's see, I think from the student view, it might not show up. Yeah, let's see, let's go to content, see what you can see. So I guess you can see this, but it won't be available yet for you. Let's see, so exams are going to be right here once again. They won't be available until those windows open up. And so you're going to get to see what the process is like when you take the orientation quiz. Okay, so the orientation quiz and the exams, the process is going to kind of be similar as far as how the Respondus Monitor and Lockdown Browser works. So the orientation quiz, it's important to make sure you know the information on the quiz, but really I'm more concerned about, can you go through the process so that when it comes time to take the first exam, there won't be any hiccups. So that's kind of what this is for. It's to make sure we address any issues we have prior to that. So when you do take the exams, though, what's going to happen is it's going to walk you through the process, just like the orientation quiz. But then what's going to happen is there's going to be a link. Like the exam's going to be one question. It's not really, but in D2L, it's going to be listed as one question. Actually, let me just go ahead. I'll show it to you. Let me exit the student profile and I'll show it to you. So let me go to quizzes, and here we go. So exam 1, what's going to happen is you're going to come in here. Here's the question. It says Unit 1 exam, you'll only have one attempt. The unlimited attempts refers to the D2L access in case the student needs to re-log in. So in case some reason you lose connection, that's what the unlimited attempts refers to in D2L. You will only have one attempt when you actually take the exam, okay? So then here's your question. You just get a true false question, but this is not really the exam. This is just a gateway to the exam. So you're going to use this link right here. You're going to be taking the exam. It's kind of like a fake exam, but you're going to click on this, and this will allow you to log into MyOpenMath. By the way, you will need to know your username and password because it will not be saved, even if you saved it in your computer. When you use the Lockdown Browser, it's not going to have those. It's not going to have your username and password saved for you, so you're going to have to know that, okay? So once you click on this link, it's going to take you to the MyOpenMath webpage, and you log in, take the exam. When you're done, you close it, come back here, just mark true, and hit save, and you're done. Okay, this is not really the exam. This is just an access point. All right, so that's that. Save and close that. The orientation quiz. So once again, you'll go through the process. You'll get to learn how that works. The orientation quiz, I think, is something like 18 questions or something. Let's see, or 15. It's 15 questions. Like I said, they're all going to be based off of the syllabus and off of the calendar. Okay, so it's pretty simple. Like I said, really, I'm more concerned about Are you able to follow the process in order to get to it, right? All right, let's go check out the MyOpenMath. So this is MyOpenMath, and so once you create your account, you'll have something that will kind of look like this, but you'll only have your class. So you can see I have a lot of classes here. And so let's see, we are the 13-14 online fall 2025. And so when you come here, it'll kind of look like this. Let me go to student view. So yours will look like this, okay? And there's really not much to it right now because the exams the assignments are not available. So let me go back to my instructor mode. But eventually you'll see these popping up on your calendar right here, so you can see when these assignments are due. Also, you can also figure that out by looking at the calendar here, right? So it's going to have the same due dates as what you have here. So let's go back here so you can see Unit 1. Unit 1, here you go. You have your assignments 1.1, 1.2, and so on. Okay, with each assignment, you have your video, your lesson, and then you have the outline notes. If you want to look at those, that's fine too. But here, let me go ahead and click on the video. Come in here, and so you can see this first part is on a factoring review. Okay, this first video is kind of long. It's about 36 minutes. I try to make the videos 20 minutes or less because I know after about 20 minutes, you're kind of a little spent. So this one, there's a couple of them that are a little bit longer. If they are, I would watch 10, 15 minutes, give yourself a break, come back, watch another 10, 15 minutes until you finish the whole video. And so once you're done with the video, then we'll go to our homework, and this is what it's going to look like here. So we'll go ahead and do student preview. So factoring review, watch the video. Okay, then here we go. So right here it says find the GCF, and so that's greatest common factor. So you're trying to figure out what they have in common, what common multiple. So really you're kind of trying to go in reverse. You're trying to figure out, okay, what are they both divisible by evenly? And so in this case it would be 3. And so when you divide each of those terms by 3, you would be left with h plus 4. Okay, that's the correct answer. I'm going to put h plus 3 for a second. I'm going to put it wrong just so you can see what happens. Oh, I got it wrong. Dang it. Okay. Well, let's try something. Let's see. Maybe it's h plus 4. So you get a couple of attempts, but then eventually what you can do is you can hit similar question because eventually they won't let you try anymore. There we go. Oops. Submit question. There we go. So now they're both correct. And let's say, oh, I'm still kind of unsure about this one. Well, you can do similar questions where you can get more practice if you want to. Then below you can see this thing that says post to forum. So if you click on that, what it will do is we'll put the question here and you can type, I need help with, whatever. And it will post it for everybody to see. Okay, so it isn't going to be private. Everybody can see it. But what that does is kind of help facilitate a discussion with the class in case multiple students are struggling with the same question. And so typically I'll respond within 24 hours, kind of try to nudge you in the right direction. A lot of times it can be just something simple like the notation, like a student's a little confused about the notation of something. And so if it's something that needs a lot of explanation, I will make a video and post the link in the forum. Okay, so let me go back here. Let's go. So you can see forums right here. We don't have any yet because nobody started any threads, but that's where you can find a list of people's questions that they have, and you're more than welcome to comment too, as long as you're constructive, right? You're trying to help if somebody's confused about something. So that a lot of times students kind of find that helpful, especially for struggling with the same question, right? All right. Let me go back to that homework though, because I wanted to show you a couple other things. So let's see. So it has post to forum. It automatically saves every time you finish a question, so you don't have to worry about saving. So here, post to forum if you need help. What I want to get to is this. Some of them, I try to pick questions that have videos, but not all of them are going to have videos, but a lot of them will. So if you need help with this, you can click on the video and boom, there you go. You have a video to watch. And so, oops, there we go. All right. So a lot of questions will have videos. A lot of these don't, but like I did the best I could whenever I was building this to put video links in there. But also, really, these questions line up directly with the video I have posted here, the lecture video right here. So if you watch this video, which what I would kind of suggest, as I was saying earlier, watch 10 or 15 minutes and then maybe do the first couple of questions, then watch another 10 or 15 minutes and then do the next set of questions, maybe kind of break it up. So each assignment will have a video and then it also has notes. So I'll do it this way. So if you wanted to like print out the notes to kind of go along with the video, you could. You don't have to, but they're there. If you wanted to, you could print them out and then you can fill them in while you're watching the video. That's up to you. Also, you can open the video here in a smaller window if you really wanted to. So that little thing right there. You can see that this is identical to those outline notes. So like I said, it might be worth like, each part of it, watch a page of notes and then do some questions and watch the next page and so on. But whatever works for you. And if you are struggling, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, that's what I'm here for. Just try to be detailed on how you're struggling though, so that I can try to send you video explanation and explain wherever you are having confusion. So here's all of the first unit, and then we have our Unit 1 exam review. Okay, so everything becomes available for the unit at the same time. So if you want to work through it quickly, you're more than welcome to do that. But the exam window is limited. That will only have certain time frame. And so you won't see this right here. This is proctored exams. So see, I have the exams hidden. You can't see them unless you go through D2L. So the only way you're going to get to these exams is when you're in D2L over here. Save and close that. So the only way you can get to them is through here. So when you click here and go there, like I said, there'll be a link. The link will take you to MyOpenMath. You will log in, and then it will directly take you to the exam because it's a special link that takes you to the exam. So that is how that is going to work. Okay, I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. I think that covers most of it. Here's the book if you want to check out an online textbook. So like I said, I'm using free resources, trying to save a little money for you all. So there is a book in case you do. Some people do like to kind of look through the book. And so they do a pretty good job. You can look at that. But other than that, I think that's going to do it. So I'm looking forward to working with you guys. Like I said, if you are struggling at all, just make sure you reach out early so we can try to catch it early. Once that starts to snowball, everything's going to build. Unit 2 is going to be built off of Unit 1, right? You have to do pretty well in Unit 1 to continue on to the next unit and so on. So, all right. Well, like I said, if you need anything, just let me know.